Welcome, my friends, to the first live seed starting here on Epic Gardening. I'm here with the hermit, Jacques himself. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I'm a little bit sweaty. It's a little bit hot today, but I've got a lot of good seeds.
I'm gonna get a lot sweatier than I am now, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So we've got the seeds laid out. I've got some selections, actually more than some. Jacques, you have quite a few.
I think I have a lot here.
This is like what you would start in spring, not in fall.
I'm a spring fall kind of guy.
So
I go pretty heavy.
This is our first live stream that I've done since the dragon fruit bloom I did over a year and a half ago when there was a manhunt above my house,
crazy.
Which was nutty and not as professional. So this is our first go around. Let us know in the comments. We've got some of our team watching the comments to see if the audio's good, if the video's good, if it's lagging. If you want to ask us anything, feel free. We'll try to do our best and answer. But late summer, fall garden, we need to be starting.
Yes.
And you probably need to be starting. Even in lower zones, it's still time to get something in the ground. You can put some frost cover up, you can grow through the fall, you can even grow into the winter if you're really getting crafty with it. So kick us off with what you got, Jacques.
All right, first one, I'm gonna start off a little bit boring here with moss-curled parsley. So,
that's the start?
That's my start.
You're starting with moss-curled parsley.
Okay. Here. So here's the deal, parsley takes a long time to germinate.
Yeah.
And I'm here to wait because if I don't get, so the thing with fall gardening is you really have to get ahead when you don't think it's time because things grow so slow in the winter time.
Yes.
The sunlight drops and this parsley is going to be creeping if I don't get started.
Think about it, you've got less daylight hours.
Yes.
And you've got less warm temperatures. So let's say a plant that might take 100 days to grow, if you're growing into the declining season, you're probably looking at another 20 days, something like that.
I'd say you put like 30 to 50% on whatever number it says on a packet.
I would agree. So I'm going in.
Are you going in with something a little bit more interesting?
I'm going in with something a little more spice, just no offense. But so I've got the cardinal basil, this guy right here. This basil I don't grow ornamentally. I don't grow it for an edible sense.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of Genovese, I've got some other varieties. I grow this really for its ornamental value because it's got these beautiful sort of burgundy red flowers. Now, to your point, like parsley, you know, moss-curled parsley takes quite a while to germinate. So does basil of all types.
Yeah.
So basil's germination time, back of the pack, you're looking at 5 to 10 days. My experience is actually it's a little bit more than that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Back in the day when I used to grow basil microgreens, I would have to wait like an extra week to deliver that compared to some of the other stuff that I grew.
I see where you have that experience now. So I am now a little bit more exciting. I've got the Oregon Sugar Pod number 2.
Okay, not bad.
I don't know why it's number 2. But here's the thing, I like direct seeding my peas, but I also will transplant them because inevitably some that I plant in ground don't make it. I like having like a lot to put in. So I'm putting 3 seeds per cell. I like to plant my peas very densely.
So you're stacking them on top and you smash them down with your fingers?
I'm making like a line. I'm smashing down a straight line diagonal across my cell here. 3 peas per cell.
Not bad,
If 2 make it, I'm happy. If all 3 make it, I'm also happy.
I'm doing a bit of a little... He already knows I'm going to say some nonsense right now. I'm doing a little, you know, a little out of season spicer.
Okay.
And I think you know what I'm talking about. It's cilantro. I'm doing a little cilantro. Now, this is the great troll, I guess, of cilantro.
I was going to say.
It's because when you want it to grow, which would be summer usually, if you're making your salsas or some Mexican dishes in the summer, enjoying some tacos, whatever, it doesn't really want to grow. It has a tough time in the heat. So that's why I have long-standing Santo, which is just a little bit more, it's got a little bit more longevity, I guess I would say. The other thing is I've chosen 2 difficult seeds to start. Basil is sometimes a little difficult.
Oh, I see, yeah.
But cilantro, again, back in my microgreens days, cilantro was very hard to start because it's a sort of a puffy seed. It's a circular seed and it's very lightweight. And when you break that hull, that's where the seed is inside. So it has to soak through germination times like 10 to 15 days. And it is sometimes prone to like mold and stuff like that. So
what I like to do on the cilantro is actually we'll take the seed and I'll just crunch it.
You do a quick crunch. Yeah.
You can feel it snap and that lets the water in a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the people will get confused because they'll think this is the seed.
Right.
It's actually the seed hull. And if you break that open.
It just lets the water in a little faster and you'll probably have better germs.
See that right there?
Yep.
There you go.
Oh yeah, you can even see
actually see it, yeah.
So I'm putting in some beans now. These are the Gold Rush beans. I've fixed my bean problems, if you guys have heard me complain about beans.
He's had problems for years
I've had problems
with beans.
for years.
This is a guy who loves beans more than anyone I've ever seen. And I gotta be honest, I gotta put you on blast, I'm alive. You're not that strong at growing them.
But here's the thing, it's not my fault.
Oh.
It's not my fault.
Forgive me.
I've decided.
Forgive me.
Not only is it not my fault, but I know it's not my fault, it's contaminated soil. I think at some point I bought a straw bale that had some persistent herbicide on it. Because now whenever I plant in ground,
no
beans.
problem.
No
Yeah.
beans. No, they,
Problems
problems
in the bean. Yeah, yeah.
Wherever I had straw before, all of my new raised beds that I set up, I put beans in there, and it's raining beans again.
I had,
So
yeah.
it was personal, but it wasn't my
I
fault.
had bean fever out in the front.
Yeah,
we
you
put
did.
some beans out in this 4x4 bed, and I'll be honest, I've told myself now, I'm letting them go to seed.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can't.
Oh, I'm doing dry beans.
Yeah, I
I'm doing dry beans.
can't actually eat them all fresh.
Yeah.
All right, so a little curveball here.
I'm ready.
Throwing a curveball at you. I'm doing celery, but I'm choosing a variety I don't think I've grown. I'm growing Utah this year instead of some of the more common ones. This is 100 to 120 days. I have two varieties actually. We have two varieties of botanical interest. 100, 120 days on this one. Why? Because it's late August for us here in San Diego, which means I've got at least 2 more months of probably warm temperatures. So I actually want this celery to be a little slower on the start, and I want to finish it off into our coldest part of the year, which is most people's like fall temperatures. So I'm choosing a longer day to maturity variety to do that.
And actually, I also have celery, and I have the other variety.
You're doing Marengo.
So we didn't consult beforehand. There's gonna be helicopters, guys, just deal with it. We're in San Diego. But here's the deal. So I'm doing some celery, and it's Marengo is the other variety.
Yeah.
And I actually think this is the best time to plant it.
It is.
Because it wants a lot of water. It wants to grow in that winter period. And celery is great to grow at home, guys. If you haven't done it, do it, please. Because
Give it a
here's the
shot.
deal. Instead of having to buy that like whole bunch of celery and you just let it rot in the back of your fridge after using 2 stalks, you go out in the garden, you grab 2 stalks, you chop it up, throw it in soup. You can leave the rest of the plant. You don't have to harvest the whole thing at once.
Here's what I'll say about celery.
Getting passionate there, sorry.
It's a little annoying to start. It's 15 to 30 day germ,
Yeah.
surface sown, which means you really just want to sprinkle it on the top and barely cover it. But this is one of those things where if you're someone who can start seeds outdoors, sometimes with us, that can mean the temperature changes the moisture in the soil and it kind of evaporates fast. You really want to keep this indoors to keep that consistent moisture, because when a seed takes that long to germinate, it can be really challenging to keep it moist and alive for that long. How are we doing out there, guys? How's the chat? Anything we want to know? Any questions we got?
Let's see. One person's wondering about what you guys do for seeds that are recommended to germinate without sunlight.
Seeds that are recommended to germinate without sunlight is the question. Frankly, that's most seeds. That's most seeds, so we don't do too much different. What you can do is something like Jacques doing here, where you press it down in the soil. I've got this little stick, I'll make a little hole and I'll place it down in the soil.
Fancy.
Sometimes you can actually partially fill a tray.
Yes.
And then plant all your seeds and then sift over some soil on top of that. That's another way to like cover all the soil in bulk.
Yeah.
But I mean, most seeds need to be buried a bit.
Yeah, I think that's just you buried in soil and you should be fine.
Yeah.
It's the ones that need light that's a little bit trickier.
Okay, you got something for me?
There's one more interesting one.
What we got?
Here we go.
Someone's asking about what to do if there's high winds blowing all their plants over.
High winds blowing your plants over. I mean,
Bamboo stakes.
yeah, bamboo stakes. I mean, you got to get some stakes and tie them up.
Yeah.
And sort of accept that look, because you can't really do much about the wind.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, that's the whole reason why windrows exist.
Yes, I was going to say.
But that's a bit of a more advanced technique to put a whole windrow
Or you
in.
put a fence, temporary fence to block the wind. But yeah, wind is a problem.
Wind's tough.
So I just put in another set of beans, but this one's Jade. And I will say, the reason why I'm calling this one out is that it is a cold tolerant bean. So it can handle more of that shoulder season like variation where it's hot in summer, then it gets cold in fall. I'm hoping that these will give me more production over a longer period of time.
I'm committing a sin, and I need forgiveness.
I'm not giving it to you.
And here's why. I'm planting Swiss chard, Celebration. So this is one, I'm pretty sure Celebration can be a mix, because if you look at the pack, Jacques, you've got multiple different stem chunks on here, stem colors. But the sin is that I've planted more than one chard seed at once, which you don't actually need to do.
Oh, I
right?
see.
Because chard and beets are both what's called a compound seed. So you can put one seed in and you'll actually get 3 or 4 sprouting out. But what I found is it's not that big a deal, because you can just let it grow. Actually, this year I grew so much chard in the backyard that it was basically like a hedgerow against the back wall. And I didn't eat.
That's true, I remember that.
There's no way you could eat that much chard. It was like a wall. And it just looked really nice and pretty. And so you can grow it edible as an ornamental, and if that's the way you're looking at it, then there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's actually a nice ornamental to upkeep because you just remove the older leaves to make it look nice.
Okay, what do you got?
So I just put in some broccoli. This is Bellstar. Really fantastic variety for this time of year because, again, I choose varieties that are like heat tolerant or cold tolerant. This is one that can handle some heat, produces a lot of side shoots, and that's really what you want in the winter time because it takes less energy to make a side shoot than it does to make like a whole crown.
Yeah, Belstar's a good variety. Belstar's a good one. So I'm going into our 16 cell trays, which is a new release this year. This one, I honestly was like a little skeptical of if I would want or like the 16 cells, because I was like, oh, you know, you can just use the 6 cells. But for this Bad Daddy I'm about to plant, it's perfect. So this would be the Gourmet Blend beet. And also I've got the Touchstone Gold beet.
That's more your flavor there.
Yeah, the gold beets I really like.
More of a golden guy.
But here's the thing. So I've been getting into blends lately because I don't want to think.
Okay,
so
I respect that.
Why not just plant a blend?
You're removing some complications.
Yeah, so if I do the Gourmet Blend, this has got, man, which varieties are even in here? Ah, okay, so we've got Detroit Dark Red, Chioggia, and a Golden Beet. And I don't even know which one I'm gonna get. Little, you know, a little surprise. But I know that I love a Golden Beet.
Yeah.
It's easily my favorite over a red beet.
I agree. They're good raw too.
Here's the little nuance to my beets this year, Jacques. I'm growing Touchstone Gold again because the days to maturity is a bit longer than Golden Boy, which is another variety. So I've yet to grow the Touchstone Gold. I gotta say, artwork-wise,
You're touching on me.
Be careful now. Careful now. This is a PG live stream, Jacques.
I just put in a 6 cell of red Russian kale. This is my favorite salad kale. It's tender, it's a little bit sweeter, it's not like all tough and leathery, really good in salads. I mean, look, here's the deal.
I just tried to put them back in the pack and I just dumped them on the ground.
No, but a delicious kale. I'm also now putting in the red acre cabbage. I feel like of any cabbage I've grown, this guy is a soldier. You leave him out there in the field, he doesn't care.
He's saluting.
He'll sit out there for 4 months, 5 months, no cracking, no rotting. Really wonderful variety of cabbage. You could just set it and literally forget about it, harvest whenever you want.
You know what? That's actually a really good point. I will say,
discovered.
You discovered it? Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. New discoveries.
So
no,
publish that.
The truth is, woo, it's hot.
Yes.
The truth is this, the red acre cabbage, I agree, it's a tank.
It's a tank.
Absolute tank. I said no to it this year though.
Oh, come on.
My cabbages are coming in later, you'll see. I'll keep you on suspense mode, but my cabbages are coming in a little bit later, but I'm not doing any red cabbage.
Maybe I'll give you a couple of mine.
Well, I'll come through. I'll come through. So again, I'm going in with the Touchstone Gold beet. For me, a golden beet really is a beet. I don't respect a red beet as much as I do a golden beet.
I was like, I don't know where he's going with that one.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, beet-wise, I just don't respect a red beet as much. Now, what I will say is, in like Russian Georgian cuisine, there's a couple beet salad recipes that are on another level.
Yeah.
I've been to this restaurant here that they make like this beet salad. I could have eaten that 7 times over.
I've been to his house though.
Yeah.
No, not a competition.
He's trying to flex. Okay, so my beets are done. Smaller seed on this guy.
Yeah, that is interesting. They're
pretty
tiny.
small seed, huh? Touchstone Gold.
I'm copying Kevin here with a packet of the long-standing Santo cilantro. I'm gonna hand crack each and every one of these seeds.
Wow,
to see
artisanal.
If it makes a difference.
No, but it does, is the thing. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, when I've planted sunflowers before in like mid-season, Jacques, you can even, look at this animation. You can even crack a sunflower or snip the top off a sunflower and it'll germinate a lot faster, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to do it.
I'm doing 16 because trying to eat some cilantro this winter.
So let me tell you a tale. I've got 2 beans that I don't think you've ever grown.
Talk to me.
And I don't think you guys have ever grown it either. Tavera.
Okay, it's like a filet bean.
And, are you ready?
No.
Ferrari.
Oh,
Ferrari.
that sports car.
Okay, so the Tavera
range.
is a true gourmet French filet bean. So I'm going into that world, right? A little culinary expertise. We're gonna try this one out.
You are trying to get there. You are trying to get there.
So this is like haricot verts or haricot vert. Haricot vert, yeah.
First one's a little rough.
I was just, I was trying to trigger you.
Here's the thing. I have a French name. I do not speak French.
Yeah.
I took 3 years in high school. I could say, je voudrais un croissant. That's it.
I want a croissant?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
he says that a lot, I'll tell you that much too.
I really like croissants.
He goes into this coffee shop near us and he says, voulez-vous coucher croissant? And they're like, I've literally never understood French in my life. What are you talking about? These are, look at the bean shape on this.
Here, let me show you.
It's delicate.
Let me show you something that you've never seen before.
Okay, tell me.
Ready? These are the Jade beans I already planted. Boom. Look, that
Wow,
color, it
that's
is
nice.
Jade.
Yeah, that is Jade.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
You're dropping,
looks
dropping
like
beans everywhere.
looks like I spread some seed. Oops. All right, so I'm going in with these. Now, the Talavera are 54 days,
Nice.
frost sensitive, so
Not a problem.
not a problem for me, but if it was, a problem, then you could go ahead and put it under some cover or something like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Beans I really like,
pretty
Jacques,
fast.
pressing down. Now, a lot of people say, why don't you direct sowing these beans? Because it's a live stream and I can't walk around in the garden. You
Here's
got a
the other
question about
thing.
that, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone's asking what sort of seeds you should be starting in the 16 cells because they're having issues with it drying out relatively quickly.
Oh, that's a good question. So the question is, what sort of seeds work well in a 16 cell versus maybe like our 6 cells or even our 4 cells, which we don't have on the table right now? Here's what I've noticed. I mean, I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
I will do stuff that I want a lot of, and also seeds that might be a little bit hardier, like beets.
Yeah,
Once
absolutely.
that beet's hydrated, it's good and it's gonna pop up. Onions work really well in it. But the other thing is, whatever type of tray you're using, as long as it's solid bottom, I'll just fill it up. Actually, I'll take this right now and demonstrate. What I'll do is I'll just come through, Jacques, and I know you do this too.
Oh, yeah.
I just bottom fill like this. And because the trays have holes on the bottom,
Yeah, including the 16s.
they'll just soak it right up, right? And so it won't dry out if you do that, is what I'd say. So
Yeah.
theoretically, you could start anything, but I do like to start stuff either I want a lot of or can handle a little bit smaller cell.
And I'll give you guys 2 examples right here. Obviously beets, that's one that I really like doing in the 16. That's the first thing I tried in the 16s. But spinach, oceanside spinach, I'm gonna do a whole 16 cell of that. Here's the reason. When you grow spinach and you cook it, it's gone. Like imagine that whole 1 pound bag that you dump in the pan. You're like, who's gonna eat that much spinach? It turns into like a cup.
If there was spinach the size of me, by the time it was cooked, it'd be about this big.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be about that big.
Exactly. So that's why I want to plant 16, because I want a significant amount of spinach. If I just put 6 out there, I'm never going to get enough spinach to make a meal. It's going to be sad.
Yeah.
So spinach is one. The other one is lettuce, and I'm doing Marvel of 4 seasons because it is both heat and cold tolerant. So again, it's really good for that shoulder season.
Hence
into
the name.
fall. Oh, yep. I didn't even think about that. But
Marvel
yeah,
of the 4
hence
seasons.
the name. And that's really good for 16s as well because again, I want a lot of lettuce. I want to eat plenty of it, not just 6 heads, but I want a whole package. And in the winter, it grows slower, so I'm not going to get overwhelmed.
Well, for me, lettuce doesn't even really grow right now. So I would want it just for the fact that it can't really grow in our summer. At least in direct
some
sun.
people,
At least in
yeah.
He's throwing shade. He's throwing shade. Oh, so my Ferrari beans went in. We're starting to sweat. Now here's where I get into my cabbage.
Uh-oh.
My story. Okay,
Tell 'em.
this is my tale. 1 kilo slow bolt.
That's what they used to call you in high school.
Yeah, they called me 1 kilo slow bolt. I was thin as hell, and I could run. 1
Slow.
kilo slow bolt. No, actually my nickname in high school?
Huh.
Could you even guess?
I don't think I could.
It was fish.
See, I never would have got there.
It was fish, just the word fish.
Did you swim?
Well, I was in a swim class,
Okay.
and here's why. Okay, so it's actually kind of dumb. So every time we'd go into swim class, you'd go do like tie your pants and blow some air into them so you can survive
Some
type
people,
swimming.
yeah, okay.
Or you do
Oh, I
you do
see.
freestyle or whatever. Like all the stuff you could learn in the pool. Every single time we went into the pool, I'd be 10 feet down sitting on the bottom.
Oh,
And I'd just
okay.
be sitting down there, and then I'd come back up and be like, what are we supposed to do? And then my friends started calling me fish, and so I've been going by that.
I respect that.
It's not the worst nickname I ever had.
No.
I used to get called Big Head, and that one caused some damage. Caused a lot of damage.
It still does today.
It still does, yeah. It's the one thing he can't call me is Big Head. Otherwise I'll go into a rage. No, I've accepted it at this point.
Yeah. So I just did the oceanside spinach, and now I finished the lettuce. What are you working on next?
So the 1 kilo slow bolt, I don't know what got in me, but I planted 6.
Okay.
So this is sort of a Napa cabbage, guys.
I've kind of given up on them.
So
not gonna lie.
I haven't, because I believe one day I will become good at making like
I
kimchi.
respect that.
But
Respect that.
here's the thing. I like Asian brassicas. I like Mizunas. Sometimes I don't even like to eat them that much, but I love to grow them. I just love the way they look.
Yeah.
And I have faith that I will get more into the preservation side of this next
Yeah.
season.
The only reason I've really given up is that I keep trying, and what happens is like an earwig sees it, and it's like
Later.
full vacancy.
Yeah.
And then all the earwigs move in. They nestle in there. They make babies. They poop all inside my cabbage. But
It's
it looks
tough.
okay on the outside. You go to harvest it, disgusting, atrocious.
Yeah, you know why? It's
I
because
can't get out of
the
it.
Napa cabbage doesn't wrap as much.
No.
The leaves don't wrap as much. It kind of is more of an upright form.
It's their preferred habitat.
Yeah.
Like crumpled newspaper would be perfect for them.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's harder for the pests. So that's why I would say, like, if you're going to grow a Napa and you do have pest problems later into the season,
You're gonna have some broccoli rabe over here,
he
by
just
the way.
spilled some Rob. If you do have pest problems later in the season, I would recommend trying to stagger that planting so it's
Yeah.
as cold as possible, because
agree.
cabbage can really hold up to the cold.
So as I mentioned, I just spilled half the packet on the ground here, but I have the rapini broccoli rabe. This is one of those that really wants to be grown in the cooler months.
Yeah.
Don't even bother trying on a hot spring or in the summer. It's not gonna taste good. It's gonna be like mustard gas. But if you cook it at the right
Mustard
season,
gas.
dude, it's intense. If you cook it at the right season though, it is really tender, delicious, sauteed up. I like it quite a bit.
Okay, Jacques, this one, is it an art or is it food? Answer? Both.
Food.
Romanesco cauli.
I like it.
So Romanesco cauliflower, if you, I don't know, there's substances one could partake in, and life kind of looks like that when you look at a Romanesco cauliflower. I've never done it, but it's the tales I've heard.
That's what I've read online.
But it's a fractal, so it has sort of a fractal style design to the top of it. I actually had a lot of success growing Romanesco last year. It's beautiful. It's an Italian heirloom, and it just has that spiral pattern that you've never, you wouldn't expect to see in a plant like this.
Real
So,
question, broccoli or cauliflower?
as in what do I like more?
No, which one is it?
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
I can't remember honestly. so
You
I
know,
don't know what I'm
honestly,
asking.
it doesn't
It says
matter.
cauliflower, so let's just go with that.
Well, listen to this. So on our seed packs, we've got quite a bit of information on the back, but also inside. I don't know if you've ever known that, but inside every botanical interest seed pack, there's like a ton of info.
Oh, yeah.
But listen to this. Is it art or food? Both. Romanesco is not actually a cauliflower, but somewhere between a broccoli and a cauliflower with 5 to 6 inch heads. First noted by the Italians in the 16th century,
Wow.
it is now catching the eyes of gourmet chefs. A nutty flavor, fall harvest, and can sow up to 160 feet. So
I might need to start my own.
you'll have more than enough.
But here's what I'm growing right now, another weird one.
Oh,
and
you're
that
doing-
is the Caraflex cabbage. I grew a couple of these last year. They were so much fun. They make pointed heads. So literally like a traffic cone of a cabbage. And
Yeah.
It's very dense. They wrap really nicely. Great salad, great for kraut. Honestly, not only does it look amazing, but it does taste really wonderful.
So this one's fun for me. And this is, this one, your Caraflex, that's kind
Yeah.
of like your version of a slow bolt, but in a more European style
right,
cabbage, you
right.
know? Okay, so here's what I'm coming in with. This is the Chef's Medley. The Chef's Medley mesclun mix lettuce. This one's fun. So Botanical Interests was founded in Broomfield, Colorado, or very close to Boulder, Colorado. So there's a local chef, John Platt. He creates some of the best dishes in Boulder,
yeah.
Colorado. That's why we trusted him to choose this special medley. So this medley is 25% Lola Rosa and oak leaf, 10% black-seeded Simpson and butter crunch,
That's a good one.
arugula, mizuna, and tatsoi. So it's a pretty gnarly
That's actually
mix.
pretty cool.
And to the person who asked, like, what do you plant in a 16 cell? To me, this is the perfect thing to plant. So I'm just gonna come in like this, put a couple depressions down, and I'm gonna do the Jacques tickle, your technique for planting, where you make a little crease here, and you just give it a little bit of that.
Hey, it worked magically.
Little
Look
bit
at
of
that
that.
perfect distribution.
And yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit too much there, but that's fine. I'll just thin
okay.
it out.
That's
It's
the
not a big
mystery
deal.
of life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be starting some cauliflower. This one's Snowball Y. Twister is another great variety for this time of year. But this one's great because it wraps its head like more naturally. So it'll cover the head with the leaves, which stops it from turning into that weird purple yellow color. Instead it'll be a nice crisp white cauliflower. The other thing I like about this one is that it could stay in the garden for a while before getting all loose and weird. Like if you forget a cauliflower another time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so now I'm getting insane, okay? And I'm going with something that I actually met the breeder of this plant here. And it
I'm a
took
little bit
him,
scared.
as far as I remember, he said it took him about 20 to 24 years to develop this variety. This is the one and only potato you can grow from seed, Clancy
Oh,
potato.
Nice.
F1, so a hybrid variety. And this Clancy, the thing about potatoes, there's a lot that goes into plant breeding genetics. Potatoes, I believe, are tetraploids or
believe you.
polyploids. I think they're polyploids. Either way, what that means is their genetics, when crossed, are pretty unpredictable. And so it took him quite a long time to
I see.
figure out how to actually stabilize these to become something you could plant from seed. And the crazier part is, technically, when you plant these, you're not actually getting a genetic match. You're getting a population of potatoes when grown out that
That's
is close
interesting.
enough in variation that it counts sort of as a variety. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
I didn't realize that. I did grow them once successfully. I've
Yeah.
tried growing them a couple times at the wrong time of year. User error.
These are some of our more expensive seeds.
Yeah. And I did grow them, and they were actually very good. They're smaller, like almost like a creamer potato.
Yeah.
And they were very tender and delicious.
They're very nice.
I like them.
So these are pelleted seeds as well. I don't know if, sometimes when you see a seed with some white
Yeah.
kind of dust or clump around it, like almost like a yogurt dipped thing,
Yeah.
you can think, oh, it's treated, it's this or that. It's really not. It's just, it's been pelletized to make it easy to pack and count, and also to help preserve the seed a little bit.
So I just put in some dill, the bouquet dill. This is the one that makes a big flower head, great for pickling. So anything that's left over, like these beans, I might pickle some of those up, but it's one of my favorites. It's also really good for swallowtails. And again, if you guys have any questions about what we're doing, drop them in the chat and we'll try to get to you guys.
Any questions right now we should be answering? If not, I've got actually the next 3 varieties, the next 4 varieties, Jacques.
Okay.
I can only tell you. I actually can't tell anyone watching. Why? Because behind this white pack are the 2026 varieties for our seed company Botanical Interests. So I have a bean and 3 basil varieties that I'm going to be planting out. My
secret.
first time trying these out. You will not see these until 2026. So
That's part of the weird thing about a seed company is that it takes a while to get a seed to market.
yes.
You can't just be like, I want this now. Somebody has to grow the seed, and then that takes a year.
Well, let alone develop the variety.
Yeah, or
right?
developing the variety is another whole level.
And then testing the variety. So the cycle, when it comes to actually getting new seeds to market, our seed team is expert. Oh, what do you got?
This is actually true to that story because I've been growing this green chard for a long time. It's like an Italian heirloom. And I've been wanting it for a while, Beatola Acosta Fine. And I told the team, they were able to find it, and now we're offering it. It's also called Perpetual spinach in this case. But if you want a chard that doesn't taste like a beet, it's not too minerally, it could be grown in the summertime, in the winter, spring, fall, doesn't matter. I grow this chard year round. I eat it every day almost. It's one of my favorites. And it just doesn't have that intense mineral taste that most chard has. Perpetual spinach, definitely try that out. If you think you don't like chard, or even if you like chard, I'm here to sell it. It's good.
I wasn't
love
paying
it.
attention because I think
I went too deep.
no, you're fine. I just think what I did is I think I just planted the beans over the potatoes.
Hey, subterranean,
Subterranean.
that method.
There is a method that I'm just going to say I developed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
I'm going to say I developed it. Now here's why. Imagine you have a tray. Imagine you have a barrel, right? You throw some potatoes in the barrel. Those potatoes are going to take a couple weeks to even start to come up, let alone to actually get out of the soil. Well, 3-4 weeks, what grows in 3-4 weeks? Lettuce. You put that above. You've got a subterranean plant growing in its power, right? And then by the time it gets up, the lettuce is ready to harvest. Take the lettuce off and then let the potatoes grow. Subterranean method.
Classic.
Works really well.
So someone's asking how deep you're planting the seeds.
Great question. How deep are we planting the seeds, Jacques?
So in general, you want to plant something like, I think it's twice the depth of the size of the seed. Honestly, I normally don't really pay attention to any of that.
I'll be honest, I don't either.
I literally just press them down and then I'll cover it with some soil. If the seed is smaller, I'll try to remember that and I'll put a little bit less. But the other thing I'll make sure to do is read the packet. Some require no burial. This one, the next one I'm actually starting is a great example. Lobelia, Cascade of Color. It's actually a new flower to me, but I've grown lobelias before and they're really great because this one trails and hangs off.
Oh, lobelia.
Yeah, lobelia. It hangs off the edge of your bed, doesn't take up much space. But if you read this one, it says, press lightly into surface. These are extremely teeny tiny seeds. You won't even be able to see them on camera. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna open the packet a little bit. I'm gonna tap on my finger. I could see them falling.
That's the Jacques tickle right there.
Right
That's
there.
his technique.
And then what I'm gonna do is take my thumb, I'm just gonna press them down like that. And that's it. I'm not gonna bury this one with any more soil. And when I water, I will bottom water. Because if I hit this from above, all the seeds are just gonna spray right out.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to bottom water.
If you did want to top water, the only thing that makes sense with surface sown seeds
Yes.
is to come through with a mister and hit it like that.
Oh yeah.
Because then you're not
That works
disturbing
great.
the seeds at all, and eventually you'll hydrate that soil.
Absolutely.
So I've been quiet, Jacques, because again, these are
You got
top
a little wasp
secrets.
over there.
So I have one more top secret to plant. These are 3 new basil varieties that we're going to be launching literally in a couple years, which is kind of crazy to think about. But this is part of the process. I mean, we test.
I got
We
2
sh-
bonuses for you here.
Oh, you got
can
a
have
little.
those guys.
Oh, thank you so much for radicchio.
It's a secret.
It's a beautiful plant, but I gotta be honest with you guys, I can't say I'm a huge fan of eating it.
I'll tell you what, I'm starting it. Here's the thing.
You're coming around to it?
Here's the thing. Endive, radicchio. Ridiculous if you're trying to eat it on its own. It is a dipper. It is a crudité,
Oh,
is
yeah,
the word.
yeah, okay.
And you dip it in like some spinach artichoke dip or some onion dip, some
Yeah.
cheese on there. It is so good.
Here's a take I have though, Jacques, to
Give
that.
it to me.
And I agree with you. I'd dip that all day. I'd give it in some artichoke dip, whatever. But if I gotta take a little piece of radicchio, right, and slather it in some fondue or something like that, then I might as well have done it with paper. Like it doesn't really matter like what it was, you know.
Because here's the thing, you get those bitter compounds and they're good for digestion. They're good for you.
Someone put it in a sandwich once, and I was like,
No, that's ridiculous.
I was like, why'd you do that?
That's kind of aggressive, honestly.
okay, what do you got?
So I've got a new flower for me. You've grown these before.
Yeah.
Gumfarina. This one is called QIS Fiery Sunrise Blend. And it looks amazing. This is one that says it blooms summer to frost. How do you say the other one?
Lobelia?
Lobelia is one that says it blooms heaviest when the weather is cold, which is why I'm starting that one for context.
So I'm switching to the one flower I decided to plant right now, and that would be wild bergamot.
Oh.
I got that bergamot action. So I'm gonna read the back of the packet. I get a lot of information and inspiration, I guess you could say, from bergamot.
I don't even know.
Look, some plants just get you that way, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Some plants
okay
just
with
get
it.
you that way. So listen to this. Native to U.S. prairies, this heirloom is known as Monarda horsemint wild bee balm, okay?
I'm here.
And Oswego tea,
Oswego
because of its use by Native Americans. Its complex flavors a blend of oregano, thyme, and mint, a unique seasoning for
It is
jellies,
unique.
jams, salads, and other savory dishes. But get this, the showy pink lavender flowers bloom all summer to the delight of bees, butterflies, as are around me right now,
Yeah, there's a lot.
and hummingbirds. So
That's
in particular, the wood nymph butterfly, just in case you were wondering
I've always been
what
looking
I'm
for
trying
that
to get.
one. I've always
Yeah.
been looking for that one, and I'm happy to say that it's here.
I think everyone could use a wood nymph kind of like coming in.
We've got 2 separate questions.
Questions?
First is, how moist do you want your soil when seed starting?
Okay.
The second is, where do you get your soil mix? Do you
Great.
make it yourself? Is it from a store?
First question, how moist is your seed starting mix when you start actually planting your seeds? I mean, technically you could have it be bone dry.
I've done it that way before. I wouldn't
recommend it. So here's what we tend to do. We will take our mister, if we filled it up, you can either like take a bucket, throw some water in, Jacques, and just move that soil around and get it roughly moist and then pack it in. I think that's actually important to say is you want to pack the seed mix in. You don't want it to be kind of fluffy in here because you'll get spotty germination.
Yeah,
So you want to
I
pack
agree.
it in, keep it nice and moist. The moisture helps pack it in. And then as far as how moist, I would say like as moist as maybe like a dry, like a sort of squeezed out sponge.
Yeah, here, I don't know if you'll be able to see this very obviously, but the soil is quite dark. If I squish it, it could hold into a ball.
Yeah,
So
but
that's a good
it
sign.
also breaks
Yes.
really quickly. So
So-
it's not like a big mud, pile.
Totally. It's wet, but it's not dripping wet. And that's a pretty good way to start. Also for the reason that when the soil is wet, the seeds stick to it a little bit better. So if you have those tiny seeds, it's much better if you do a little bit of a moist soil first. That last one I just put in by, ooh, that felt good.
That was
Was
nice.
Linaria. And this is Fairy Bouquet. I think you grew it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another reason why I chose this one, is that it says blooms heaviest in cool weather.
Okay.
So I'm looking for that winter bloomer. I want that winter bloomer in my life.
Yeah,
So that's why
Linaria's
I'm doing that.
Linaria's a great one. That one actually dotted up this entire backyard garden this year.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And okay, I guess I'm gonna go in with the radicchio because
Because I gave it to you.
you gave it to
Hey.
me, and also I ran out of
you
seeds.
go.
Thank you. So this is the Maverick radicchio. So maybe it's the one
It
that
matches your energy, right?
finally tastes good. We'll see. I'm gonna go in with 6, and I'm gonna plant them all in your garden. just in a couple different spots, you know?
I'm doing another flower here. This is an entirely new species for me growing in the garden.
Oh, wow.
It's aster, king size apricot. I love the color. I love those kind of peachy, pink, orange, yellow tones. And this one's right up there with me. And it says that it's bloom summer to fall. So I think I have enough time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm pushing it here, but I'm gonna try anyway.
Give it a
That's one of
shot.
my favorite things to do.
Well, we always say,
do
and
things that people tell me not to.
I know we got to answer the question on seed starting mix too, Jacques.
Oh,
but,
that's right.
What I will say
one.
before that is, if you're starting seeds, you know, you've taken the time, you've got the trays out, you've selected, you've got your labels out, etc. Anything you want to throw a Hail Mary at to plants, I would say just do it.
I always try something new.
There's no reason to not. Like you're going to use up a little more soil and a couple seeds, and then if it works, you get like an amazing plant, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well go for it. Okay, seed starting mix. You got a pretty good recipe.
So for me, honestly, my recipe to make things easy is just buy whatever potting mix you like and then sift it. That's what I usually do. I don't use like a specialty seed starting mix. I'll get like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch hardware cloth and sift it out, and whatever is remaining, that's what I use. And that seems to work pretty well for me, and it's cheaper than buying specialty seed starting mix.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You could, what's that? You can go ahead and buy a seed starting mix if you want, I guess. But you know, a lot of people say,
Which
"Oh,
is
it's
great.
It's a sterile
They work
mix
really well.
and this and that." It's like I don't think it needs to be. I don't think a seed starting mix needs to be sterile. That's my opinion. Why? Because what am I doing? Like, is the garden sterile? Never.
No.
Right? And so I'd rather have a nice alive mix. Maybe with some worm castings, a little inoculant here and there.
And I don't have any problems with seed starting mix, by the way. I think it's a great thing if you don't want to sift and go through that work. The main thing that you're looking for, then the reason why it's seed starting mix, is the fact that it doesn't have big chunks in it.
Yeah, that's all it
That's
is.
the main thing.
That's
Because
all
if
it
you
is.
have like, let's say I have my, like, this is pretty standard. I'll even get a bigger one for a dramatic example. But you could find something like this in a potting mix bag, no problem. If you try to put seeds on that, it's just simply not going to get water, and it's never going to germinate well.
Yeah.
That's why you want a fine-grained mix for that exact reason.
Yeah, so, okay. I've run out of seeds, Jacques.
Okay.
But you have a lot more, so maybe I'm going to start helping you.
If you want to take some of these, you want a little moss curled parsley? Oh, wait, I already
I
did
don't
that
want
one.
moss curled parsley, dude. Get that away from me. You can grow that, and I'll eat it.
Here's a little
Oh,
handful.
you know what? I do want this, though. So, fennel. Fennel, to me, if you've watched some of our recent videos, you know that a guy on our channel who's been neglected for a while, Eric, he really likes fennel. He really likes fennel because, as he says, it's a triple threat.
A triple threat.
Yeah, it's a triple
I've
threat.
only heard of 2 threats.
Yeah, it's a triple threat. Why? Because you got the fennel bulb, you've got the fennel seed, spice,
Very good.
and then you've got the unopened fennel flower. You can eat that. Tastes like a good and plenty.
I'm gonna add a 4th threat, and you could eat the fronds even. You can chop. You can though.
Threat
if
level.
you want.
Threat level's not too high on that
Threat
one.
level 0 on that one.
I don't think people are eating it. No. It's a good point. Actually, it is true. You're right.
Yeah.
Every part of the fennel is edible. Some less than others, probably.
So
But
yeah, not as good maybe. So the last thing I just put in, it's another great example for something like a 16 cell. Fantastic for doing onions because you want a lot of onions. In this case, I have King Richard leeks. Leeks are a great thing to start at this time of year. They grow faster than onions. They're not like more daylight tolerant or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're also frost tolerant. So King Richard leeks, a whole 16 cell, and I put 3 seeds per cell because with leeks, I don't mind multi-sowing. Because if you get 3 leeks growing together, they'll be a little bit smaller, but you'll get more overall leek.
yeah, I'll actually counter you a little bit on that. I don't mind. I don't mind multi-sowing onions. I do mind multi-sowing leeks.
Oh, okay.
Because I kind of want, so the thing about a leek, right, is you want that big, and this is just my preference, right?
Yes.
You kind of want that big white bottom, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we all have one, right?
I don't have a big one, but
Mine's sizable these days. Mine's sizable, I have to say. But anyways, you want a big white bottom, and the way you get that is by growing the biggest leek you can.
Yes.
And you can actually bury deep, or you can actually hill the leek up a bit and do what's called blanching, and you'll get a little bit more of that. Because really, like an onion, leeks are sort of composed of overlapping leaves, and that's how that bulb or that bottom forms. And so if you want to, I mean, it's just dealer's choice, but if you want to, you can do it that way.
yeah. And then I just went in with another flower. This is the Pacific Beauty blend calendula, so I'm on your blend train here.
Okay.
And there's got a couple different colors in there, but calendula is really wonderful flower. I love the smell, the look, and they tend to do well for me in the fall, winter season as well.
I'm gonna steal one of yours, and I'm going in with the white Lisbon bunching onion.
I can't grow onions, that's why I gave it to you.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but scallions or bunching onions hate my garden.
That's interesting.
Hate it.
Because they're not that tough
shouldn't
of
be
a
hard.
plant to grow.
They
Yeah.
shouldn't be.
Is it that they don't germ or that they
Just don't grow. Like I'll put them out, and I think it's honestly, I never give them a fair shake. I'm
Yeah.
like, here's a random little corner, I'll shove you in here. And then I'm like, why don't they grow? So I don't know. Maybe I'll try actually trying.
Every
next time.
season you've got something that like you kind of ignore, right?
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
I do it every year though. So, that's
So
not the problem.
with the bunching onions, if you're looking for something really easy to grow and you don't want to think about planting, you don't want to think about keeping the soil moist or anything, I don't know. To me, an onion's really nice because the seed is pretty durable
Yeah,
and you can plant like 5 or 6 in the tray,
I agree.
and then you can just take the whole thing and put it in the garden. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like there's really not a lot of thought that goes into a bunching onion. And on top of that, when it comes ready, you can just clip it and go.
That's true.
Right? So it's actually a really nice plant for that reason.
So someone's asking if you rotate your crops and would you recommend it?
Question is if we rotate our crops and would you recommend it? You did that this year, Jacques.
I did do it this year. I've been of the belief that it's pointless in a small garden until you have a problem, but maybe it's not pointless. So what happened was I kept planting tomatoes in the same bed because it was the most convenient to grow tomatoes. And then I got root knot nematodes, which are these little things that go into the roots of your plant. They make these cysts and then the plant can't get water and it dies. So this year I did rotate, but I'm only rotating things that I know I've had a problem for. So for example, not this year, but last year, a lot of our garlic got garlic rust, a fungal disease.
Yeah, that was
and
bad.
So yeah, it was really bad. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not planting garlic in this bed this year, no matter what. I'm putting it somewhere else. So if you had an actual major problem, that would be a great time to do it. Preventative rotation, probably not a bad idea, but it is a little bit of extra work. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of your same opinion. I was like, why would I rotate? I don't care that much. I don't need, max yield or whatever. But when you do have a soil-borne disease that comes back over and over, like, I'll be honest, I was stubborn and I did not rotate my tomatoes for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I would say this year I have tons of tomatoes, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But my indeterminates failed kind of mid-season and I had to plant another crop of them because that mildew that's probably sticking in that
just in
soil
that
back there.
soil.
Yeah, it's just there and there's nothing I can do about
If
it.
the conditions are right, it'll show up.
It'll show up. And so the thing we did when we did that 4x4 post sort of setup is we didn't put our indeterminate trellis in a very sort of permanent fashion. And so I can just dig those up and we
That's
can
true.
put them somewhere else. And I will actually rotate my tomatoes next year. But most crops I do not care about rotating.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I just went in with sweet garlic. I don't know, you've grown this.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to grow it this year. So this is a leek garlic hybrid. So the idea is that you get a leek that has some garlic flavor, and it's by those guys at Row 7. They're like chef driven.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see if it's any good.
Shout out to Hans Bongers.
Hans Bongers.
Because Hans Bongers is the guy who
Put
bred
one out
this
for you.
sweet garlic.
Thank you.
110 days to maturity, 2 to
A
3
long one.
seeds per, garlicky flavor. You can use the whole plant. So
That's all I need to know.
shout out to you guys. Obviously, we love to support other seed co's. What do you got?
I think I'm out of actual space here.
You want some of these? I
Do
got
you
a
have a
couple.
free 16?
I've
Is
got
that one open?
No, I got a 6L though.
All right, I'll take a 6.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be happy about
Any other
that.
questions, Paul? Let's see. I'm gonna go in with my final.
Take whatever you want.
I'm gonna steal this lobelia. I'm gonna do Crystal Palace lobelia as well. Why not?
That's a different one. Mine was a trailing. This is a more standard, like violet blue.
Okay.
Very beautiful one.
Perfect.
And then my final one is going to be a sad, solitary 6 cell of golden boy
6
beets.
tiny little beets.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm gonna eat them, but I wish I had 16 of them.
This lobelia seed is tiny.
Very teeny.
Oh, wow.
You can't even you could barely tell it's coming out
I
of the
can't see it
packet.
even coming out. Yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna go in with that. We've got every single one of these varieties actually
Yeah.
is available for sale at botanicalinterest.com. The 6 cells, the 16 cells, and even the bottom cells. I don't know, have we ever shown this off, Jacques? Let's show it off. You know what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do.
Oh, I see.
So here we go.
Here, take this.
When we designed the 1020 tray, which is the bottom tray here, we said we just want to make one that's exceptionally sturdy.
One-handed.
Look at that.
It's
This does not move. It does not move. And so I don't
one of
know.
my favorite things.
When I first started gardening, I just thought, why is all this stuff disposable?
Yeah.
And yes, this is made from plastic. It is recycled plastic, but at least it's not disposable. right? Because plastic, unfortunately, in our world, is still a material that is quite useful.
I've never had a bottom tray last me more than a year without cracking.
Yeah.
And so already,
These have never,
not even
cracked.
showing a sign.
In fact, the 6 cells I gave you back 4 years ago,
4 years
you're
ago.
still using.
I'm still
and
using.
they're like perfect. So, some fall seeds starting here. Our first live stream, we're gonna save this video so you can go refer to it later. Again, all seeds at botanicalistry.com. We've got a bunch of new stuff on the Epic Gardening store as well at shop.epicgardening.com. We have wooden raised beds these days. We've got some really cool container options, and we actually have a pretty full selection of fruit trees and berry bushes, about 30 or 40 different varieties.
My pomegranate's fruiting.
Yeah, including bananas, mangoes, pomegranates, apples, etc. So check all those out. We will see you next time. Let's get some misting going on here, Jacques.
Mist me up.
Good luck in the garden, and keep on growing.
Hit me with it too.
Woo!
That
Little
feels a lot
taste.
better.